Hello, Bigfoot enthusiast. Scott here from Squatch America.
And Hannah, domestic goddess, chief cook, and doggy mama in the paddy wagon with you tonight. You will not believe what I witnessed this evening.
No, don't.
Oh, I am. Guess what he has in his coffee tonight, folks? Pumpkin spice. All he needs is some leggings and an infinity scarf.
Yeah. And a man bun. All right.
And a man bun, yes.
That's not going to happen.
Okay. All right. We have got a great guest in the house tonight. We are so excited. Is there anything we need to say before we play the thing?
No, let's get into this.
All right.
Here we go. All right, folks. So tonight we have in the house the curator of the Texas Bigfoot Research Center and Cryptomundo, and he's been on lots of TV shows. One of my very favorites from way back in the day is Southern Fried Bigfoot. I have watched that probably 1,000 times.
Is it right up there with Boggy Creek?
It's up there with Boggy Creek, I think.
You know the biggest problem with Southern Fried Bigfoot, Scott?
What's that?
There's way too much of me on it.
There we go.
Anyway,
ladies and gentlemen, we gave you Craig Whoolheater.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We want to say hi to people in our audience. So we got Lockbeard and Mike Casey, Michelle and Renee and Scott and Pyro and Donna
and Dale.
Hey,
the usual.
Dale, good to see you.
Yeah, the usual suspects.
And Scott says poached Bigfoot in a white wine sauce.
Yeah,
awesome. He's kind of snarkastic himself.
Okay.
And then Tracy's back with us tonight. Wonderful.
Okay, all right. So we greeted everybody. So I gotta ask. I ask everybody on the show, Craig, what got you into the Bigfoot subject?
Well, it goes all the way back to, this is just going to show how old I am. Way back in 69, when it was a pretty big deal here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but it was the summer of the Lake Worth Monster out at Lake Worth, just not far northwest of downtown Fort Worth. That reports of a 7-foot tall, hair-covered creature was seen quite a bit that summer of 69. That it's generally thought to be the most witnessed local creature. It was seen by hundreds of people that summer, including law enforcement personnel that saw it out there at Lake Worth. That area now is a nature center owned by the city of Fort Worth, a wildlife park and nature refuge. Back then it was just kind of a lover's lane kind of deal where the local teens would go out there and park and drink and make out. And it's a really nice park now, but there's still reports that come in from that area every now and then of a Bigfoot type creature seen out there. But that summer of 1969, I mean, it was seen like nightly out there by people that went out to the lake. And then, then you had the old, the gun-toting monster hunters that showed up to try and bag the beast. And it really was that summer of 69 when it was seen quite frequently out there. And, it was on the front page of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, the local newspaper, on July 10th and July 11th on the front page. And this is, 10 days before man landed on the moon for the first time. And the big story was about a 7-foot tall hairy creature that was out at the local lake. So it was pretty cool. And as a kid, I was into the strange and unusual even back then. And my grandparents who lived there in Fort Worth saved the newspaper for me for my scrapbook. So that's what really got me started. Was that then a month or so later, I found a book that was self-published by a local woman out there that was investigating out there. Her name was Sally Ann Clark, and found this self-published book by her that featured the newspaper articles in it, as
Yeah.
well as interviews she did with people back there. It was crazy back in those days, because the newspapers would print not only the people's names, the witnesses, but their addresses.
Yeah.
So it wasn't hard to track people down back in those days. As a matter of fact, this book by Sally Ann Clark, had her address and phone number in it.
Hmm.
So, I was able to track her down, later on in life. But, from that information that was in the book, I mean, it was, while it's easy to look up people on the internet now, back then the newspapers gave you that information.
Yeah, that's fine. And there was a photo, wasn't there? Wasn't there one photo of the Lake Worth
Yeah,
monster? Yeah.
there was a photo taken by a gentleman named Alan Plaster
Uh-huh.
that Sally ended up in possession of. That if you search for Lake Worth monster, photo on Google or whatever, you can come across it. I've actually seen the original, which is much smaller. The subject is much smaller in the photograph. That's a cropped image that you see on the internet.
Hmm.
But he supposedly was driving around the lake. There's um, on the west side of the lake. There's a road that goes along the edge of the lake there, and he supposedly was driving by and supposedly saw this thing stand up out in the grass, tall grass, and he snapped a photo of it. And after he got the photo and it came out, he grew very tired of talking about it, and he actually gave the photograph to Sally Ann Clark, and it was in her archives.
Hmm.
Later on, that's the first thing that got me started in the Bigfoot subject. A year, that was, like I said, summer of '69. The next year, a kid at school, I would have been in 1970. I guess I would have been in about fifth grade. A kid brought a book to school by a gentleman named John Keel, who later on, 5 years later, wrote the book, The Mothman Prophecies.
Hmm.
At the time, the book that I saw that the kid had, and I traded something to the kid to get the book just because it had cool Frank Frazetta artwork on the cover, but it was called Strange Creatures from Time and Space. And it had, chapters on all kinds of different creatures. The thing that was funny to me as a elementary school kid was that he had a chapter about the Bigfoot type creatures in the South, which back then wasn't really a well-known subject. In the late '60s and 1970, but it was humorous to me because he called these things, not Southern Sasquatch or anything, but abominable swamp slobs. And what was so funny is the acronym was ASS, was ass. So it was really juvenile and funny. But
Yeah.
so I loved that book. And then and then living in the Dallas Fort Worth area, um, when it hit national release 3 years later in 1973, I of course saw The Legend of Boggy Creek, and that cemented my interest. I was a Boy Scout at the time and camping out in East Texas, and so the thoughts of the Boggy Creek monster or the Fountain monster were, you know, rather fresh in your head when you're out there camping in the woods in a tent.
Hmm.
So that's what really got me started being interested in the subject. And fast forward about 20 years, in the summer, well, it was actually Memorial Day weekend, 1994. Myself, my youngest brother, my new girlfriend at the time, and other friends and such, we decided for Memorial Day weekend to travel, take a road trip to New Orleans, and for Memorial Day weekend. So we had, living in Dallas at the time, we'd all gathered up on Friday, early Friday morning. There was 12 of us, and so we left in 5 different vehicles and caravan to New Orleans. But this is pre Google Maps, pre GPS, pre MapQuest. So we had like a road atlas that we laid out and plotted our course, what looked like the best route to get to New Orleans from Dallas. And we set out about 5:30 on Friday morning and got to New Orleans. With a couple of stops here and there, probably about 1 o'clock or so, and proceeded just to have a good weekend in New Orleans for Memorial Day weekend. Um, it was a weekend of debauchery. I'll go ahead and put that.
Well, it's New Orleans.
That is a great word. I admire your word usage there.
Well, I am a wordsmith, so I do like the use of words, but debauchery, kind of sums it up, because there was a lot of eating and drinking. I'll put it that way. Partaking of the local, um, adult beverages and lots of crawfish and blackened this and that, and so it was a good weekend. Well, when Monday rolled around, everybody had to leave at a different time depending on when they needed to be back in Dallas. 7.5, 8 hours, eight and a half hours away, I guess. So in my vehicle, it was myself, my girlfriend, now my second ex-wife, and a friend who lived in the building that I did. Set out. Well, my girlfriend and I didn't have to go to work Tuesday, so we weren't in any necessary rush to get home to leave New Orleans. But my friend, she had to work the next morning, so she was going to sleep in the back seat on the way, because we didn't leave until about 9 o'clock at night. So we set out the same course that we had come down. Well, now this state highway that bisected Louisiana, central Louisiana. When we came down, it was mid morning, so it was no big deal. But going back, it was an unlit 2-lane road out in the middle of nowhere with no traffic or anything, no cars coming or going, and basically just us. And we had swung around Baton Rouge and started heading up towards Alexandria and then Shreveport. And, it was, like I said, an unlit 2-lane road out in the middle of nowhere. And this area we were in, it was kind of swampy on the western side of the road. And on the eastern side of the road, there was a tree line that was about, 25 feet out from the edge of the road. And it was just a 2-lane blacktop road. So as we're driving, my friend's asleep in the back seat, my girlfriend's in the passenger seat, and I'm driving. And I had a little soft top SUV, a little Isuzu Amigo, little Jeep type thing that I had rolled the top up because it was May 30th. The weather was really nice, 70, 75 degrees. And so fresh air sounded good. So we had the top rolled up, and as we're driving up this road, in my headlights, we catch a figure off to the right of the road. And it was, half or a little more than halfway away from the edge of the road towards the tree line. And as we proceeded to approach it, my headlights had lit it up, and so we could see it. And, we saw it, I don't even know, maybe 7 or 8 seconds as we're driving. And it was an upright figure on two legs, covered with hair, looked to be grayish. The hair was grayish in the illumination of my headlights, and it was actually walking parallel to the road. It wasn't an inanimate object.
Mhm.
It was a bipedal, hair-covered object, about 7 foot tall, kind of slumped over, and actually walking. And as we passed it, like I said, we saw it for a couple of seconds. We both looked at each other and simultaneously said, "Did you just see what I just saw?" And agreed that we had. And I said, "Well, what do you think you saw?" And she goes, "I think I saw a Bigfoot." And my immediate reaction was, "Well, we've got to stop." Um, I don't know what I was going to do. I wanted a better look. I mean, it didn't deviate from its path. It didn't look up. It didn't stop. It didn't, it just kept walking. It was walking parallel to the road. And she vehemently, another good word, vehemently refused
Yeah.
for us to stop, using some choice words that
Mhm.
I'll withhold from this. I'm
Yeah.
guessing, are we PG rated, a family show here?
Yeah, we are, because YouTube's gotten new rules.
Okay.
You can't use bad words now.
Okay. Well,
And we want all 8 cents we might get from this video. So there we go.
okay. Yeah. Well, we don't want to cut off a penny for using a bad word or anything.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. But we didn't stop. We did not
Okay.
stop. And within about 8 to 10 minutes, we pulled into a small town in central Louisiana that's on Highway 71, which, just as a little bit of trivia, that's the same highway that goes between Shreveport and Texarkana and goes right smack through Fouke, Arkansas, the home of the Fouke monster and the legend of Boggy Creek. Anyway, this is a different segment of the road between Baton Rouge um, and basically Shreveport. And so we pulled into this small town called Bunkie. It was about 11:30 on a Monday night, Memorial Day, May 30th, and needless to say, there was nobody out. There was nothing going on.
Mhm.
I've been back through there since, and the town's built up a lot more since 1994. Now almost 30 years later, but so we didn't stop. There wasn't any place open or anything, so we just drove through town. And as we drove out of town, there was a small country church on the right hand side of the road. So we pulled into the parking lot of the church to talk about what we had seen. My friend and neighbor was still asleep in the back seat, but we pulled in the parking lot for 10 or 15 minutes and talked about what we had seen, and discussed it. She had told me previously that her her first ex-husband, me being her second ex-husband, uh, had a in I believe it was DeRidder, Louisiana, had what he felt was a childhood encounter with a Bigfoot. Probably not too terribly far from there. That he had his grandparents had always warned him about. Don't wander off into the woods behind the house. Because the wild man would get you, the
Mhm.
boogeyman. And one day it had snowed, and he took off out into the woods there, and he came upon a place where it looked like a fairly large animal had been bedding down in the ground there with leaves and such, kind of a bedding area. And while he was there looking at it, he noticed a peculiar smell. But not only that, he felt like he got the feeling that somebody or something was watching him. And so he took off to go back to his grandmother's house. And he then heard something take off chasing him as he ran. So he ran faster and faster for his grandmother's house. and he said that he could hear something behind him breathing heavy, running after him. And when he got to the fence at his grandmother's, he just basically, threw both of his hands on there and hurtled his body over the fence and into the house. His grandmother was there, and he supposedly was as white as a sheet, and told her what had happened. Something had chased him, and that when his grandfather got home, his grandfather rounded up a hunting buddy, and they went out, back out into the woods, and supposedly saw large tracks up to the fence of the house, but never saw anything else. So we discussed that story. She told me that. I didn't know that story until then, that had happened. And like I said, I don't know that she knew that much about my interest from when I was a kid. But then we got back on the road. We still had about 5.5 hours, um, back to Dallas. So we got back on the road. Our friend needed to be at work the next morning, so we got on the road, and I don't really remember us talking about it once we got on the road, and I certainly don't remember talking about it when we got home. It was just something unexplainable that happened to us that couldn't um, didn't really know. Well, I knew what it wasn't. I knew it wasn't like a burned out tree stump or a horse or a cow or a hunter in a ghillie suit or some prankster in a gorilla suit. It wasn't any of those, but I assumed that it was one of these creatures. It was the only thing that fit the description, um, and still didn't talk about it until and your younger listeners are gonna, I guess they're listeners slash viewers, since we have audio video.
Yeah.
But I was still over 3 years away from getting on the internet. Um, I didn't get on the internet until summer of 1997. And when I did, the first thing I looked up was, Bigfoot in the South. And, there wasn't much on the internet back then. As far as Bigfoot, there were message boards and forums and such.
Yeah.
But met people online and started talking to them and telling them about my story, and meeting people, and met a gentleman that lived not far from me in Texas, and we decided to create an organization, the Texas Bigfoot Research Center, which went live in June of 1999, with a crappy old free Angel Fire website,
Yeah.
uh, blinking animations and, all kinds of crappy stuff. But it had a report submission form, and it also had a contact us form, join the team. And people started contacting us, wanting to get involved with what we were doing. We were getting reports from people. We focused on a 4-state region where we could generally drive in half a day to, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana, and just started investigating these reports, preferably on site with the witness. And so that's really how things got started. And now I'll go ahead and stop talking for a minute.
All right. Well, good. We've got a couple things that we need to put out there and help pay the bills in this place.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Don't you have a funny slide for that?
I do.
Kaboom. Hold on. We got all high. Thank you, William. Our very first swear jar donation.
Yeah. One of our viewers had to put some money in the swear jar. Okay. So.
I think we may have started something.
There we go.
I guess I was good to ask, so I didn't have to contribute to the swear jar.
There we go.
It works better than being in a coffee club.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right.
I have to be careful.
Well, that's good. So, folks, get your questions ready for Craig. I know we have spent quite a bit of time in Texas.
That's one of my Texas. I want to move there.
I know it's one of my favorite places.
Emory. We are fans of Emory, Texas.
Emory, Texas is only about, I think, an hour and 15 minutes from me.
Is it? Yeah, that's where.
Well,
Yeah, we have a kind of a permanent campsite that we go to up in Lake Tawakoni.
Sure.
So,
Well, remind me, I have a good Lake Tawakoni story.
I want to hear it. I
Yeah.
want to hear it. I think I almost
Yep.
got ate by an alligator there, but I don't know.
No, but we were in the campground there, and we had a guy come give us a big long. Well, he came and knocked on our camper door. We weren't there, and he left this note. And then later on, he came back, and we talked with him for a long time. And he had this big, long story about running into a Bigfoot in Nacogdoches.
Okay.
He was up deer hunting, and he was in a tree stand, and it was walking around underneath his tree stand, shaking it, and he didn't know what to do. So
But we're headed that way. We're headed to you later this year.
Yeah.
As soon as our I-5 run is over, we're headed to Fout. Well, headed to wherever we go, Emory. So
Yeah.
we can be in Fout.
Yeah. So hey, while we're doing that, why don't we
Let's just throw up all the things.
throw up all the things?
So
usually
we're
this is-
pausing for station identification here.
Yeah, what we're going to do is talk about where we're going next. And so actually, we're going to be at the 2023 Squatch Fest in Longview, Washington, or Washington, like I like to say. So Cliff Berkman, Shane Corson, Jeff Meldrum, Mark Marcel, myself, and Kathy Strain will be speaking. If you want to know, on the 28th, Jeff will start out, and then he's opening for me because, no, just kidding. I have to follow Jeff. So there's Jeff, myself, Mark Marcel at 1:30. Shane's going to be at 3. Kathy Strain, who's going to be on the show next week, right? Or the week after next. I can't remember. And Cliff Berkman, who was on the show a couple weeks ago. So
a couple months ago.
How time
and
flies.
while they're all busy waxing profound in the speakers hall, y'all can come have coffee with me at our booth.
Yeah, there we go. So we're going to be there. And then after that, oh, where'd it go? Okay. We're going to be at 4 sportsman shows. All the month of February, we're going to be in Eugene, Roseburg, Medford, and Anderson, California. We'll be speaking there with Greg Robertson from Medford.
Gregory
Roberts. And then after that, we're hauling ourselves to Falk Monster Fest in April 29th, 2023 down in Falk. And I think the guy that we need to talk to about that is right here.
Where?
So,
and I want to acknowledge to our audience what a gentleman you are, because when we could not travel last year, I mean, just you're saying, well, just, let's make it good next year. That was just really, really wonderful for us.
Thank you.
No problem.
We now have a truck that will get us there. So that was a huge thing.
Well, very good.
Yeah, we switched from our 4 miles a gallon gas truck to our 13 miles an hour diesel truck, so we can afford gas now. So there's that. All right, so Craig, why don't you tell us about Falk? The Monster Fest is coming up.
Well, like I said, when I was a kid of 13, I saw The Legend of Boggy Creek. So, and it was very, very, very influential on me. And I've been going to Falk, since probably about 2000. Used to hang out with Smokey Crabtree, who was very, was involved with the Legend of Boggy Creek movie, and wrote 3 books about the Falk Monster, and was a local there, a lifelong local in Falk, a hunter, trapper, pipeline welder, and, a good old guy. And so I had, been to Falk many times, and through many different iterations, there's been some type of festival, there in town over the years. Way back in the day, back in the early 2000s, I think it was the Falk Monster days. There was back in the early teens, there was a I think it was the Boggy Creek Festival. That the last year it was there was 2015, and Falk is less than an hour away from here in Jefferson. So a lot of times after the conference here in October on Sunday, after we meet for an early lunch, a lot of us will just going up to Falk. People want to see it, want to see what's there. Go to the Monster Mart. And when, like I said, when Smokey was still alive, we'd go over to his place. Um, and he passed away in December of 2015, but he did attend that last um, Boggy Creek Festival of 2015 for about an hour. He was there and signed some autographs and took photos and such, but his health wasn't very good at that time. But that was the last year that the people that were hosting it then. And after the Texas Bigfoot Conference in Jefferson in 2018, when we had gone up to Falk and went to the Monster Mart, the mayor of Falk, Terry Purvis, was up there and was wondering why, he just happened to be at the Monster Mart when we all, a whole trove of people came in, and he was wondering why all these people were coming in. Falk is a town of about 800, and it's not big. And, the Monster Mart and the legend of Boggy Creek are really the only things that draw any tourists there to town. So I told Mayor Terry, that we had just had the Bigfoot conference in Jefferson, and so we all came up to Falk, and he was lamenting that he sure wished that there was still some type of Falk monster celebration there in Falk. And I just offered up. I said, well, Mayor Terry, that movie and the Falk monster have been very influential to me. I'd be more than happy to organize a Falk monster event celebration, to benefit, to bring tourists to town and to benefit the city of Falk. And he thought that was really cool. And so we started planning that. And actually, in 2019, we had the first one in June. It coincided with Charles B. Pierce's daughter. He's the gentleman who made the Legend of Boggy Creek movie. And his daughter had secured the rights to the film and found a print, and had spent about $100,000 having it restored and remastered, the film. And it's about to come out in what is it, the 4K UHD version?
Wow.
That should be out really soon. It coincided with the screening that she did there at the original theater where it premiered. It was now called the Perot Theater, but that's the same theater where her dad originally four-walled that movie by renting the theater and screening it himself. And she premiered the restored remastered version that same weekend that we did the 2019 Falk Monster Festival. It was so popular, we had to turn people away at the door that wanted to come, because we were just, in a small community center building that had a capacity of about, 250 people. And, people just showed up in droves, and we had to turn them away. And so we've held it every year since then, even during COVID. In 2020, the first year of COVID, again, Falk is a small town of 800 or so, and they didn't have the staff to be able to open their public buildings, with sanitation and disinfecting and all that stuff. And so we actually had to move the Falk Monster Festival to Texarkana, to the Texarkana Convention Center, to hold it there. And, I had to write up a health plan and submit it to the health department, the Arkansas State Health Department, to get it approved to even hold the event by, you know, having hand sanitizer stations and social distancing and limiting the capacity and all those things that we had to do and have, you know, wear masks and such. And we're able to still, with reduced capacity, to have the event. The first year of COVID, we had it back in Falk in 2021, as well as last year. And we've got, this is our 5th annual version of this event coming up, as you said, April 29th. We've moved it up in the year because last year in the middle of June, it was just so, I mean, it's Louisiana summer, but even then it was unseasonably hot. And, you know, people were almost passing out in the parking lot waiting to get in. So we moved it up in the year by about 6 weeks and moved it to a larger location, to the middle school auditorium there, so we can have more vendors, make it more comfortable with the, you know, climate controlled, with, you know, people being able to wait in line to get in to the auditorium inside the building where it's air conditioned, and more seating. And so we've got, you know, looking forward to the new venue for this, more vendors, and just, you know, really cool stuff like that. So that's, you know, the weekend of April 29th, the last weekend in April. And like I said, we've got a new speaker, a fairly local, Southeast Texan, Jeff Stewart. He's never spoken at the event. I've got Lyle Blackburn, Chester Moore from Orange, Texas.
Oh, good.
Chester's a great guy,
He
editor
is.
chief at the Texas Wildlife Magazine, and prolific author and speaker. So he's going to be speaking, as well as Lyle and Jeff Stewart, and then Jerry Heston, a longtime Texas Bigfoot researcher and author of Hunting Apes in America, about looking for Bigfoot. So that's that event.
Awesome.
That's the next one. You guys are going to be at that one. So that's the next one coming up. And believe me, it'll be here before you know it. You know, it's,
Yeah, well,
you know, it's 3.5 months away at this point.
yep.
So
Yeah, we were looking for some place to park our camper near the event, and that's not going to happen. Listen, look, I'll have to talk to you about that. But anyway,
well, there is, and I'll go and announce it for other people. There is free camping at Alex Smith Park.
Yeah.
That is in Doddridge, which is about, I think it's 17 miles.
Yeah, it's not that far. In fact, we were at Alex Smith Park 2 years ago. 21.
That was the accidental festival.
Yeah, we showed up there, and they were having a little Bigfoot thing hanging out there with Keith Crabtree and Shelly Montana. Yeah. And us. We all just kind of accidentally showed up there at the same time. So we had our own little Bigfoot festival. It was kind of fun at the park.
I have to just say that Keith Crabtree makes the best beef jerky on the planet. That's how and he gives really good hugs too. He's a huge guy.
Huge guy.
So. Anyway, Pyro says, I like this comment because I think we can commiserate. Pyro says, I took the Falk van tour last year. Seeing the area with the story was awesome. You could feel the monster behind the trees.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually last year drove the bus on all the bus tours. So he, I guess he took my tour, local hot spots there to see. We do have a guided bus tour. Lyle used to go on it and narrate it, but he narrated and we recorded it. So we play Lyle's narration. So we got Lyle's narration, and we go about 50 minutes throughout Falk to locations where not only has the Falk monster been seen, but also notable locations where the Legend of Boggy Creek was filmed, and stop and point these out. And we have a stop right there on Boggy Creek where folks can get out and over a bridge and overlook the creek and venture down if they care to. I mean, it's pretty boggy.
Yeah, it is.
But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
An option that we offer as well as the the actual conference itself. Like I said, we'll have those 4 speakers, but we have bus tours throughout the day to, like I said, these local points of interest from the movie and actual Falk monster sighting locations.
That's awesome. So
let's we got a natural pause here.
Okay,
so let's do some more thank yous because the cuss jar is getting really popular tonight. Keep that up. Get your slide. Okay.
Oh,
you got to do the slide.
I got to do. Oh my gosh!
Yes, I know. There are too many buttons to push. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we've had 3 people donate to the cuss jar. Thank you all for stepping
Rock,
your,
Renee,
and
Uncle Bones.
Yeah, why don't we start Hannah's cuss jar instead of Hannah's coffee club?
Yeah,
that seems to get more. So yeah. Anyway,
maybe you should start something like a snarkasm box.
I think so. That
some shoe box to
yeah.
also take donations.
Yeah.
Dale, Pyromedic would be the biggest in that one. There.
Yeah, actually, Dale says, "How do you donate to the cuss jar?"
There's a super chat.
Yeah, where it says super chat.
Where it says super chat. All right.
So that's right. Go with what works. That's right. Go with. Actually, what I've been learning lately is go with what really feels good. If it makes you feel good, follow that. So
right. Yeah.
Anyway,
so I'm looking forward to going down there. I mean, we were there a couple years ago. I loved Falk. We did our own little personal tour of the area.
Mm-hmm.
And then we actually went out squatching a couple nights there too. Didn't find anything, of course, because that's usually what happens, But
well, here's one thing I can guarantee for people that'll come. I'm barely gonna avoid the cuss jar, but I can that people will have a falcon good time.
That's awesome.
I like that.
I like that.
Falcon good time.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but we had a lot of fun at the Monster Mart. We hung out there because being Bigfooters, that was the first time I'd been there. I've been doing this for like 25 years. A lot of people don't know who I was because I'm an anthropologist and I was working in universities, so I couldn't really say I was looking for Bigfoot or I'd lose funding for a bunch of stuff,
Right.
So,
but then that was the year that it was our first 2020 was our first big year to have like a summer full of festivals, and they just went.
So we got to hang out there. Actually, that year we went to Falk, we went to Willow Creek, we went to Deduck Springs. So we hit all the big spots. So
Bluff Creek
and Bluff Creek.
Yeah, one of my high points in my time bigfooting is actually in 2009. I spent the night down at the Patterson film site, Bluff Creek, with several other people in attendance. But Bobo also was there and spent the night with us.
Oh, cool!
Oh, he's such a great guy.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool to actually be down there at pretty much ground zero. I mean, it wasn't right there. It's as close as you could drive down and park at that time. I apparently ruined it for people being able to drive down there in the future after that.
Oh, no.
Because my vehicle nearly went off the cliff and went crashing down to
Oh,
the
no.
bottom, and on the way back up, and Bobo had to give me a ride into Willow Creek from Bluff Creek on the side of the cliff, to hire a wrecker to come back, to bring me back, to winch the vehicle. I should have sent you this picture because it's pretty entertaining, but that winch it up off the side of the about to go off the cliff, and that wrecker fee was $597
Oh my gosh.
in 2009. Of course, Bobo, it was a rental car, so Bobo had his own solution, which was just fire a couple of shots into the door, kick it over the side, and blame it on the tweaking Indians, is what Bobo suggested.
Oh,
I did
no.
not.
Good plan. Yep. Yeah, good plan. No, we've actually got to hang out with Bobo a couple times. He's a great guy. He really is. But
He's a lot of fun.
yeah. So yeah, we're planning next year to spend a week up at Deduck Springs from the
Next year or this year?
this year. Actually, I keep forgetting.
It's
the year sheet.
2023. Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah. So this year we're planning on spending a couple weeks up in Deduck Springs, and we're going to. Last year we found the exact spot of the Freeman film.
Yeah.
So next year we're going to go to the spot, and we're going to try to do a laser scan of the area and measure everything. So maybe we can get some dimensions on that thing. So
Sure. Very cool. Yeah. That's a cool film. I just got this week, I just got my Freeman Files book by his son, Michael Freeman. I just copy. It was a good week because I got my copy of that, and I also got the biography of John Bendernagel, who was
awesome.
a very he was so great, I can't even describe him really. He spoke at my conference 3 different years, and still a great loss to the Bigfoot community, but the single most, I think, knowledgeable and humble man I ever met involved with this research, and certainly a great loss to the community.
Yeah. I never got to meet him. Paul Freeman's son's actually a pretty close friend of ours now. We've spoke at a couple conferences together, and we chat back and forth all the time. I don't know if you saw the enhanced version from the book yet, the video.
I have not.
Buckle up,
buckle up. Yeah, buckle up.
I know it had QR codes where you can scan to
when
find
you scan
other information and videos and such, but I have not gotten a chance. Like I said, I just got it the first of the week and have not gotten a chance to even crack it open yet. I've got a stack of about 15 books that are in need to file.
You really want to make that one a priority. It will blow your mind, right? I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I got a sneak peek at that because Michael Freeman sent it to me a couple months before the book came out, just so I could see it, and it blew my mind. The enhanced version is fantastic, and also another great thing about that book is you get to hear Paul's voice, and you get to hear him telling his own stories, because they had all that recorded from back in the day. And so it's a really, really fun book. The QR codes change everything, and like I said, that video changed my idea about the Freeman film.
Cool.
So plus we got to hang out with another gal named Dar Addington. I don't know if you know who she is.
I'm Facebook friends with her. I know that she's been involved with the Sasquatch research up in that area for quite some time.
Yeah, well, she actually was the one who went out with Wes Summerlin and Paul Freeman. She was out there finding prints with them back in the day. She hung out with them. She did most of Freeman's notes she took.
Oh, wow.
So So she was in the middle of that.
Yeah, with the old timers back then, like Vance Orchard that wrote several books, Bigfoot of the Blues and such, way back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where, if you, what really got me into Bigfoot, to let you know, is that's where I grew up. I meant my house was 15 miles south of where the Freeman film was taken. So that I grew up in the Blues, and when all that was going down, it was a big deal around our community.
Oh, well, to interject a little bit of humor here,
Uh-huh.
maybe that Michael should call those QR codes in that book Blues Clues.
I will send that to him. He's going to get a text from me in a minute. Okay. Yeah.
He can, and once again, he can use that free of charge.
All right.
Okay.
I'll tell him.
Lockbeard, is this a question for our guest? I don't know if that's a question for our guest or not.
We'll ask it. We'll find out.
If a body is found and you're on a short list of people told when and where it will be revealed, would you scramble the jets, and how far would you go?
Would I? I don't know that I would go. I mean, I'd want to see it, but there's, a short list of people that I would want involved to go see it. Jeff Meldrum being one. Unfortunately, John Bendernagel is no longer around to go, but there's a short list of people that I would want to go examine it and take samples for sure.
Yeah. What are you looking at me?
I don't know.
No,
you would love that. You would be
I would
slobbering all over that.
I would. But
like I said, I'd want to see it too, but I don't have any expertise, scientific expertise or anything to, go about taking samples or,
right.
Cliff Barrickman would be one, Shelley Covington
would be one. Yeah.
There's, like I said, a list of people that I would definitely want to be there to examine it and to take samples, to get DNA testing done. Doug Hychek, and certainly for him to film it for use of Legend Meet Science too.
Yeah, there you go.
But as much as I would like to be there, I mean, I would not be a priority for sure.
Yeah, that's like me either. I mean, I am an anthropologist, but I'm a Native American culture anthropologist. That leaves me with nothing.
You can put together a human skeleton and name all the parts.
I can, but
do you sing that song?
Yeah, the knee bone connect. Yeah, the
heel, the leg bone.
Yeah.
That's how you assemble your human skeletons.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things we had to do in forensic anthropology class. Was they give us a box of a real human skeleton with full of just a box of bones, and we had to lay them out at the table and name every single one of them, and put them in the right place. So,
well, singing the song would help. I don't know.
Yeah, it would.
Knee bone or hip bone is a scientific term, but
yeah. Yep.
Okay. Well, we have got, unless we go late, which we did go late last week. Last week was a fun time. We've got about 5 minutes left. So I want to take a quick break while you guys are.
We need to throw something out. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If you missed our
bathwater, is it?
No. But first of all, it's something I forgot to do at the beginning. We've got people watching on Facebook, so thank you for joining us on Facebook. And if you are either on YouTube or Facebook, please like and share the video. If you have not subscribed to Squatch America on YouTube, please
go over there and subscribe. Gotcha. All right.
And you
anyway, and
all my events on Facebook, the Fout Monster Fest,
yes,
conference.
Yeah,
I even host a Texas UFO convention now.
Oh, wow.
That sounds fun.
Those things kind of go together. Kind of funny you say that. Do you know what's really interesting? We're Bigfooters. Okay.
Oh, I don't put them together because, you know, I know people say, oh, well, you know, a Bigfoot was seen in the area when there was a UFO. Well, you know, the Bigfoot could be going back and saying, wow, I saw humans in the same area as a UFO.
Exactly.
Must have been UFO. I mean, you know, if I saw strange lights in the sky, I'd be interested and curious, and they are probably too.
I was
Absolutely.
going to say they're probably wondering why don't they pick those humans up and get them out of here already?
Yeah.
They keep coming and then they keep leaving.
In fact, right before we went to Falk a couple years ago, we actually spent a couple weeks in Rachel, Nevada, camped out right behind Area 51, and we actually saw lights in the sky. It was kind of weird.
We one of our videos up on our channel is a breakdown of the odd thing that went through the sky.
Yeah. So anyway, we also want to talk about the Texas Bigfoot conference.
I want to go. It's in winter. I want to be there.
Yeah, we want to be there in October 20th to 21st.
Yeah.
In Jefferson.
Yeah, we had good weather. It was, you know, I'm trying to remember back, but well, hell, it was 76 degrees yesterday. So here, but you know, it was in the probably in the 80s for the conference. It was great weather, and you know, I started that event. As a matter of fact, Dr. John Bindernagel was the keynote that was at that event in 2001 because that my very first conference was, I'll throw out the date, September 15th, 2001, 4 days after 9/11. So a lot of people weren't able to fly in that were coming in to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But Bindernagel didn't fly. He had set off about 5 weeks earlier, driving from Vancouver Island on the ferry across to Vancouver and then all the way down to Texas, stopping and interviewing Bigfoot eyewitnesses on the way. And so, you know, 2001 was the first Texas Bigfoot conference here in Jefferson, and in October of this year will be in 2023. So I don't know how many that is, but it's a bunch.
Yeah, it is. Yep. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're gonna try to be down there.
Oh, so if we have to find some way of creatively bringing your mother with us without her knowing it.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, no, yeah, we spent this winter in Oregon and not enjoying it so much.
Last winter too. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, so.
I'm too old for cold winters.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Texas.
Yeah.
Hey, you will not get an argument from me. I would move to Emory tomorrow. Rika's Rise and Shine, best coffee shop on the planet. I just gave them some free advertising. But
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's it. I want to throw out there, last Friday, we had our very first Friday live in the studio, Patreon only chat. Our Oregon Bigfoot Highway researcher, Christy Sanders, was our guest, and anyone that came to that actually got to be in the studio with us. It is a private chat, so we're going to be having those once a month. Please go to patreon.com. It is open to all Patreons. From the low level tiers to the high level tiers, it doesn't matter. We're going to be doing more of those, and we're also putting together more value added content for our Patreons. You can get into Patreon for as little as $5 a month, which is cheaper than my pumpkin spice.
Jeez.
At Starbucks.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, we don't get out of Starbucks for less than $15. It's true. And I drink Americanos, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Mother-in-law cuss pull behind wagon. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm looking to see if we got any other questions in the chat real quick for you, Craig.
Got lots of thank yous.
So,
hey, Donald, nice to see you here tonight.
For those of you who don't know, there's Bigfoot in Texas.
Yes. And there's gators.
There's one thing I want to point out. What's really interesting down south, up here in the Northwest, we call them Sasquatch or Bigfoot, but down there in the South is something that's there's kind of got its unique thing. You've got, what is it? The Woolly Burger. You got the Sabine thing. You've got
Falk monster.
the Falk monster, Caddo critter.
Every local creek or town has its own localized creature.
Yeah.
First monster, Turkey Creek monster. You know, there's tons of them, and some creative names. The Holly Him. There's um, plenty of names for these, because Bigfoot, the term didn't really come out until 1958, and that was strictly really used in the Pacific Northwest. And so the things down here, like I said, were just called the wild man of the woods, the boogeyman, different takes on those things. And like I said, the localized ones, after a town or a creek or a body of water or whatever is how they were named. And my good friend Lyle Blackburn, prolific author, and he just had a book, Texas Bigfoot, come out that it's actually a book I should have written years ago. As a matter of fact, I wrote the forward to it, and the first sentence in the forward says, "Here I am writing a forward to a book I should have written years ago."
Yeah.
I'm a procrastinator. Lyle is not. So
There you go.
much better for him to write it than me.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to meeting you all in person down in Falk. That's going to be a great time. I don't know what we can bring to it, but
yeah,
he's got an amazing, literally an amazing petroglyph pictograph presentation.
That's what I used to do. Is that's what I did for a living my whole life. Is I worked with tribes to help decipher their pictographs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what got me into Bigfoot, because I found too many Bigfoot petroglyphs that
very cool.
couldn't be identified. And that's the book I'm working on. So
very cool. Well, like I said, you'll have to make a little time to come by Jefferson, because as of 2018, I did write the town proclamation and get the mayor to sign it that it is the Bigfoot capital of Texas, Jefferson.
Yep.
We have a couple of Bigfoot statues in town. Most of the restaurants here have a Bigfoot item on the menu. Actually, not if it's called a Bigfoot burger, it's not actual ground up Bigfoot that's made burger, but it is called a Bigfoot burger or Bigfoot barbecue or whatever. And a lot of the general store and the other souvenir shops and such in town have Bigfoot trinkets and such for people wanting Bigfoot souvenirs.
I created a proprietary recipe called Squatcher Poppers.
They're
Squatcher Poppers.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're jalapeno poppers.
They're the best jalapeno poppers.
So,
does your trailer have a kitchen in it?
Absolutely. Well, we live in it full time. It's probably the closest thing to a gourmet kitchen that an RV has ever had.
Well, then I guess that you will be required to make some Squatcher Poppers.
It's possible. Squatching Cowboy is one of the rare few that I have let my recipe get out to. So.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask for the recipe, but I'm not going to ask for a batch of them.
Right.
I might shoot it your way.
All right. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, Craig. It's been enlightening.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
So nice to, have a voice and a conversation to go with the messenger thread.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you guys want to do something, prior to the event, or I'll be, more than happy to come back on, or something around the Bigfoot conference in October. So
yeah, we'll do that too. Absolutely.
All right. So I think that's the end of it tonight. Thank you guys so much for coming and for donating to the cuss jar, which I think we're going to keep as a thing.
All right. Thank you so much.
We have more people to thank. We actually lost track of all the the coins being thrown in the cuss jar.
So thank you very much
To Dale and
I'm
to
scrolling back up.
Pyro.
Thank you very much.
And we got everyone else already.
Okay.
Okay. So okay, where do we go from here? As always, please remember that our job is to investigate the unexplained,
not to explain the uninvestigated.
So until next week, again, please like, if you haven't liked this video, do it now. Like, subscribe, share the video, do all those things. Help us beat the YouTube shadow ban that will forever haunt us until maybe there will be YouTube files. I don't know.
There you go.
And we will see you next week. So you keep watching and
we'll keep squatching.
Bye now.
And go out and find Bigfoot.